they recently moved here from places like Kenya, Ethiopia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Zaire. But not a brother whose family's lived in this country for generations, occupying space in all the locations, New York, Miami, LA, Detroit, Chicago. Even if he's wearing a dashiki and sporting an afro. And if you go to Africa in search of your race, you'll find out quick, you're not an African American. You're just a black American in Africa taking up space. Why you keep trying to attach yourself to a continent where even if you got the chance to go and you went, most people there wouldn't even claim you as one of them, as a purebred dog.
I don't need your help. You think you can feel me? I'm doing just fine. You think you can change? I'll change.
I hope I'm never sitting courtside. Shit happened so quick it felt like there was no time. Body was programmed just to always be on go time. I think the clouds are on free. This ain't shit that all the homies can be. Running from the lies, let me get up. Thinking about the bullshit, leading right up. Mama told me one day you run out of luck. Now I'm looking up, quick tail catching up. Born into that trench mine, niggas had no straight mind. Only thing we know is break a bitch and push that bread line. Head be filled with crazy shit like shorty, had my head tied like bitch. You know you ain't coming to me about no bedtime. Ain't no keep it real, I really feel like the pressure is really on me. I know pressure is a bitch, but I don't let feelings control me. I know I've been getting cold and my niggas was flaking on me. So I had to bet some bitches at some parties. But don't blame me for it, don't blame me for it. I'm too cheap for it. Just watch me going, no brakes, just keep top speed flowing. Bless me, test me, line me up, I know that I'm the next thing. Praying till don't catch me and arrest me. Hope that every night I make it in my best sleep. I hope I'm never sitting courtside. Shit happened so quick it felt like there was no time. Body was programmed just to always be on go time. I think the clouds are on free. This ain't shit that all the homies can be. I hope I'm never sitting courtside. Shit happened so quick it felt like there was no time. Body was programmed just to always be on go time. I think the clouds are on free. This ain't shit that all the homies can be. Running from the lies, slip and get up. Even about the bullshit, leading right up. Mama told me one day you run out of luck. Now I'm looking up, control catching up. Alright, I ain't resist, but don't take my chain. No, you can't search my shit. Know how it goes. These just praying that shit. Give me my chance before my grave is dig. Bless me, test me, line me up, I know that I'm the next thing. Praying till don't catch me and arrest me. Hope that every night I make it in my best sleep. I hope I'm never sitting courtside. Shit happened so quick it felt like there was no time. Body was programmed just to always be on go time. I think the clouds are on free. This ain't shit that all the homies can be. Running from the lies, let me get up. Thinking about the bullshit, leading right up. Mama told me one day you run out of luck. Now I'm looking up, quick tail catching up. Catching up.
YGF beats, baby.
Elevate my hustle, gotta get your stress. Cause you the kind of girl I wanna make to my wife. Ain't no point that anyone can make a know they ain't right. They can't tell me how I feel or what could be in my life. For all the miles I kill, told you many times you really mine for real. Cause something about your eyes always shine for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal. For all the miles I kill, told you many times you really mine for real. Cause something about your eyes really shine for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal, yeah. Little crazy light, baby, feeling on it lately. Heavy on my mental, so I'm in a booth for wavy. See me, I don't give a fuck, I'm open, I ain't shady. These niggas see us, so they hating. Sipping bottles again, ducking all of the feds. Putting loaves inside the cover, we ain't splitting no bread. Getting all these different fabrics off your neck and your head. Hope that karma ain't gon' get me for those coming head. My baby said she want a love song. 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 I'ma sing her this love song. Yeah, I'm singing to elevate my hustle, gotta get your stress. Cause you the kind of girl I wanna make to my wife. Ain't no point that anyone can make a know they ain't right. They can't tell me how I feel or walk a day in my life. For all the miles I kill, told you many times you really mine for real. Cause something about your eyes always shine for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal. For all the minds I kill, told you many times you really mine for real. Cause something about your eyes really shine for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal, yes. Something really shine for real. Something really shine for real. Something really shine for real. In your eyes it shine for real. For all the minds I kill, told you many times you really minds for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal. Stick it out with me as you gon' ride. For all the minds I kill, told you many times you really minds for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal. Baby, is you mine?
YGF Beats, baby.
Elevate my hustle, gotta get your stress. Cause you the kind of girl I wanna make to my wife. Ain't no point that anyone can make a know they ain't right. They can't tell me how I feel or walk a day in my life. For all the miles I kill, told you many times you really mine for real. Cause something about your eyes always shine for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal. For all the minds I kill, told you many times you really mine for real. Cause something about your eyes really shine for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal, yeah. Little crazy light, baby, feeling on her lately. Heavy on my mental, so I'm in a booth for wavy. See me, I don't give a fuck, I'm open, I ain't shady. These niggas see us, so they hating. Sipping bottles again, ducking all of the feds. Putting loaves inside the cover, we ain't splitting no bread. Getting all these different fabrics off your neck and your head. Hope that karma ain't gon' get me for what's coming ahead. My baby said she want a love song. 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 I'ma sing her this love song. Yeah, I'm singing to elevate my hustle, gotta get your stress. Cause you the kind of girl I wanna make to my wife. Ain't no point that anyone can make a know they ain't right. They can't tell me how I feel or walk a day in my life. For all the miles I kill, told you many times you really minds for real. Cause something about your eyes always shine for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal. For all the minds I kill, told you many times you really minds for real. Cause something about your eyes really shine for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal, yes. Something really shine for real. Something really shine for real. Really
hey y'all!
In your eyes it shine for real.
Hey now!
For all the minds I kill, told you many times you really minds for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal. Stick it out with me as you gon' ride.
Right, Brent.
For all the minds I kill, told you many times you really minds for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal. Baby, is you mine?
Hey! All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, may I say. How's everybody doing? Hey,
Well, good afternoon.
Hey, Irma. Hey, girl.
Yeah, I'm just talking. I'm just talking and muted up and just running my mouth. Good morning.
Hey, Smoke. Hey, now. Anthony Lowe, Kelly Green. What's up, y'all? Who else we got? Godspeed. Straight Smoke, Original Intellect, Goddess Saturian. Okay, I see Lady Moon, Demita. Wow, everybody up. Okay, it's afternoon here on the East Coast. Oh man, I hope everybody's doing all right today. Today we're gonna get into. I got a few slides. It's only I think maybe like 5 or 6 slides, and they're really quick. But I wanted to get into exactly what the title says, and we're gonna touch on the 1866 Civil Rights Act after. But I really thought that today would be a good day before Trump goes in office to discuss how important it is at this point to work on and overcome psychological barriers in the U.S. system. And I personally and strong-heartedly feel that the psychological and barriers imposed on our people, I'm speaking of literally of our people in our community across the 50 states. A lot of our people are still Democrats. And it's like they're stuck in that belief system. And it's crazy to me how we have to figure out and develop ways for our people across the 50 states to really wake up. Those that are like active Democrats. We have we do have an active Democratic Party filled with our people, filled with them. Do you believe that, Copper Aborigines, Irma?
Absolutely, because the majority of our people have been wrapped up in the Democratic Party since 1934. So when you take 1934 and you bring it up to 2004, you see how many years that is. And that's a long time to be in that mindset. And it's real hard for them, for those that are in that, to come out of that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take some time to get them out of that mindset. But I don't think I don't think that the youngsters, the ones that are maybe in their teens right now, that might be about 15.
Yeah, that's Gen Z. Gen Z.
Yes, and bring that age up to about somewhere around, I'm gonna say probably, y'all could correct me if I'm wrong. Let's bring that age up to about maybe 42 or 43 years old. Those are the ones who are shown enough awakened right now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
We got to remember that the Democratic Party was founded in 1828, they say, according to WikiOne.
Okay.
And it's the oldest active voter-based political party in the world.
Mm-hmm.
In the whole world. Okay. So they've been around spreading their BS a very, very long time. They didn't just jump out there, So yeah, we got a long way to go if we're trying to wake everybody up from Democratic to Republican.
Well, sister, I agree with you on that, but I don't think they were really that strong or powerful even back then.
No, they may not have been, but it started.
They didn't become real powerful until the Wilson administration. Maybe
what years are we talking? What years are we talking?
Oh, I'm gonna say somewhere between 1890 to 1912.
So you're saying 1912 is when the Democratic Party became pretty powerful?
Much stronger. Yes, because what they did It was 2 years before World War I or III. What they did was they formed this secret party, as you all know it, and it was called the Ku Klux Klan. That is the original, that is the real Democratic Party that you're dealing with right now. Whether anybody wants to believe it or not,
Mhm.
those are the ones that you're dealing with.
So
Because
what year? What year are we saying in the silent generation, like between 1927 and 1945?
yes,
Okay,
yes,
so that's
exactly.
okay. So that would be if you're um in the alpha generation, which is 2022, they're still babies. And then you got Gen Z that was born in 2003. So we're talking there one, two, three, fourth generation grandparents.
Mhm.
Yep.
And um what I do see is the millennial generation, which is the Y generation, um, they're really um not indoctrinated as much
That is
as
your
Gen
new
and
Republican Party voters right
right,
there.
right, millennials with the Y generation, because they stand up and they see it's a great as this is why I love the millennials. This is exactly why I love the millennials, because they stand up to Democrats. They're the ones that finally it took the millennials to stand up against the Democrats. And I really believe it's the millennials strongly from our community that push Trump back in office because
Yeah,
they
that age
see,
group.
yeah, they see things that X generation, boomer generation cannot see.
Yeah.
One thing about the millennials, they see bullshit easy. It's easy for them to see bullshit. And they're so helpful for us right now. And they're going to be the ones, along with X generation, that's going to keep the education and break that yoke of the psychological barriers caused by the Democrats.
Well,
We're the ones. Mm,
Sister Bethy, if you look at everything now, see from 84 to I'm gonna say 84 to 90 is your graduation time year, correct?
yeah, I graduated from high school in '84.
Okay, so let's take a good look at this. Now, when you look at the parents, which are your age group right now, they were the last group to actually vote in the Democratic Party in large numbers. They have those are the ones that are coming up out of here along with their children and their grandchildren right now. Now,
Correct.
when I'm looking at the millennial Y. Now, me, I'm in the boomer generation. Yes, I voted in the Democratic Party from the time I was probably 18 up until recently. Meaning,
Mm,
when I say recently, I mean up until 2016,
mm.
because we were not really paying attention, or we were, but the Republican Party of the 1970s, all the way on up until George W. Bush the first. Those were the ones, and I keep saying it, whether anybody want to believe it or not. Those are not the Republicans that we are dealing with right now today. When you go back and
Mm.
look at that time period. Oh no, those Republicans right there were not doing anything for our people at all. Not at all. You can go back and look at everything they
What
voted
year?
on
What years are you talking about?
from 1980 up to 2002.
Then that's where I have to disagree. That's the problem right there. That's why we're having this segment
Yeah,
today.
I
I
think
have
I,
to disagree.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, to me, seem to be one party playing both sides of the fence because they both was voting for the same crap of slowly but surely destroying us.
yeah, I have to agree with that part. Yeah, I believe that as well. I believe yeah, one
Because
person.
go back and look
I,
at go back and pay attention to the Christian Coalition of 1980. They started in the 70s of attacking us. That's
I
where it was at. Both parties was doing it.
I have to disagree.
Okay, go
As
ahead.
as a Gen X, I do. So up here on the panel, we have two boomers and the Gen X that I
What,
love so much. Now I'm
what,
protective over the boomers because you're talking about my parents. But
I'm a boomer. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We
right,
got caught
I
up.
know. I said we got two boomers on the panel and
We got caught up.
a
We got
Gen
caught
X.
up because of
I'm
our
Gen X.
grandparents. We got caught up because of our grandparents and parents. But what they didn't tell us, and I don't know if anybody in the chat knows this, but what they didn't tell us when we were growing up, they didn't tell us that Medgar Evers was a Republican. They didn't tell us that even Malcolm X was a Republican. They didn't tell us that Martin Luther King Jr. was a Republican. We didn't know that. All we know is that the Democratic Party, after those deaths of those men, took those people's characters and turned them into Democrats. This is what I'm saying to y'all.
My mother
And
was a Republican, and I never understood it. She never explained it, so I never understood it. It was like, oh, it's just what you do. And I'm like, well,
right.
somebody over here says that the Republicans are basically not for you, and that the Democrats are who you want to vote for because they got your back and they're going to fight for you and they're going to give you all these different things. And so I went
With the Democrats
yeah.
because of the NAACP. And that's the truth. We were listening to the NAACP. And
Right.
that's who kept us wrapped up in this democratic nonsense. But I'm gonna tell you how I figured out how to get out of it.
Huh.
Now, what I started doing was paying attention to that to the two words that didn't make sense to me. And if anybody in the chat or on the panel can make it make sense to me, and I'll research it in my own brains. The
Oh.
Black Caucus. Those two words, for some odd reason, never resonated with me. So when I started researching the Black Caucus, I said, oh, these are the ones that's keeping us messed up, because everybody that belonged to the Black Caucus were NAACP members.
Well, break it down and tell us more about that.
All right. When you go and look at the Black Caucus, the top nominees every time they got elected to office, we're thinking that it was our people that was putting them in office, which they were. But what we didn't pay attention to was another word, and didn't have the understanding, at least I didn't understand what the word lobbyist meant. I didn't know what that word meant, not on the financial side.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started researching lobbyists, I was like, wait a minute, these lobbyists are putting the financial backing in the coffers of these Black Caucus. And the Black Caucus is sitting there getting paid to be silent while we're going down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
While things are slowly being taken from us in our communities across America. And see, I didn't know it was across America. I only thought it was just only in Detroit, because this is where I was at. So I started looking at the way the communities were going down. The city services was no longer there. There was a thing that was called a millage. I noticed that the parents in my generation were not voting millage when I was coming along. It was our parents and our grandparents that were voting millage. So getting back to this Black Caucus, I noticed that all of these people who belong to that Black Caucus, they were getting rich to shut up and not vote in our best interests up until recently.
Question.
Answer.
Was that Black Caucus the same people as you? Or
Yes.
skinfolk and kinfolk? Are you
No, they
absolutely
were the
sure?
same skin complexion, but we didn't know there was a difference in us. We just thought we were all the same because this is what we were taught. But as we started getting older, meaning my generation, as we started getting older and we're paying attention to certain features, we're paying attention to hair texture, we're paying attention to ears, eyes, nose, mouth, hair growth, body type. And then it hit us. It hit us. And we were like, wait a minute. These youngsters are out here saying this word, all skin folk aren't kinfolk. But the boomer generation started saying, wait a minute. No. They look like us, but they are not of us.
There it is.
That's when it started making sense to us. And so we had to look at the put that back up there so I can keep it online in line. Sister Bethy, put that, yeah. So when the boomer generation started paying attention to Generation X, we noticed Generation X was the generation that was being attacked. Why? Because look at the number 1965. That is the first generation out of slavery. Now I know many of y'all saying, no, that's not true. That's not true. Yes, it is, because you got to go all the way back into the 1800s and look at the grandfather clause. 100 years. So when you go from 100 years of 1865 to 1965, that's 100 years. The first generation out of slavery is 1965. That generation right there is the generation that was attacked the most. Why? Because they were the free generation. Their children are the children today who are the Generation Z. Yeah, Generation Z. Because when you go from 65 to 83,
no. Generation X children are the millennials. My daughter is a millennial.
I understand that, Sister Bethy, but what I'm explaining to you is when you
Z
look at
are grandchildren.
when you look at Generation X and you look at Generation Y, they are mixed in together. They are the ones that got Generation Z. This is what I'm saying to you. Those are the creators of Generation Z. Those two.
Well, yeah, if you're Gen X that like young people.
Remember, Gen X goes all the way to 1983. People who were born up until 1983, and people who were born from 1965 to 83 married a lot of the people who are from 84 up to 2002. They created Generation X. Oh yes,
that's wrong. That's so wrong on every level.
When I said that,
on every level, I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm Gen X. I know who I slept with. My husband is a boomer. Okay.
Now he's a boomer. You're an X.
He's on the cuff of boomer generation.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Now, I'm telling you, my generation X are the mothers and fathers of the millennials. My generation. Gen X are the mothers and fathers of the Y generation.
I'm not in disagreement with that. What I'm saying to you is that
Now
the
we are.
Generation X.
Wait, you gotta push back because you're not I listened to you, Boomer. Now you gotta listen to me. Generation X, that's me. Our babies are the millennials. Generation Z are our grandbabies. My grandsons were born in 2015. That's Gen Z.
The reason why I said that is
But
because
you
my
no,
last
you're
child is born in Generation Z. Our
well. That's
last
because you mess with younger people.
no, because it was a oops baby.
Oh well, I don't
See,
know. I don't know where you're going, but I'm looking at 18 years of age. Okay.
I get that.
In
I said she
1984,
is a boo.
I was 17 years old. I had
I'm
my
telling
baby
you
when
that
I was
she is a
26.
oops. She's an oops baby.
Okay, but
What?
that's pretty rare.
Yes, it is. But I'm just
You're
saying.
a mid-age boomer. Okay. Gen X, and I'm gonna leave it like that, and I'm gonna move on. I'm not gonna keep dwelling on it. Gen X are the mothers and fathers of the millennials. We are the mothers and fathers of the Y generation. Some boomers, okay, do have millennial babies.
Agreed.
They had babies. Boomer generation had babies in their 40s, and that's how they got a millennial baby.
I'm not in disagreement with you. I'm just
So
explaining
now,
how.
all right. So if I could get a millennial baby on the panel to go through this with us, because we can't. One thing we can't do is speak for another generation.
That's true.
I can only speak for X generation. But if I can get somebody on the panel to join us for this segment from the Y generation, which is the millennial generation, male or female, can you please step to the panel? And I'm not saying this to be mean to you, Copper Aborigine,
No, I
but
understand, Sister
but
Bethy. Believe me,
the
I
the
do.
the, the I'm telling you why I'm saying this and where we screwed up at. And I admit it. The boomer generation needs to, and I don't take it offensive. Because we are now in the millennials is who we're dealing with. A lot of the boomer generations raised a lot of the millennials. They were stuck with grandma instead of mommy. So at this point, and because of that detachment, a lot of the millennials are the first ones to stand up and tell Big Mama to shut the F up.
Oh,
It don't, and check this out. That was the first generation, being the millennials, to tell the boomers to shut the F up with capital letters. Because prior to that, no one stood up against Big Mama and Big Papa.
better not.
That's the first
That's
generation
true. That's
to
correct.
wake,
Better not.
to wake us up. So at this point, when it comes to speaking for the millennials, they have to speak for themselves. We learned being Gen X is when we began to learn a lot about life, history, and where we made our errors at and where we were stuck at. It took the millennial generation to stand up and speak to us. And this is why they don't have respect for boomers, because boomers, and you're a young boomer, they are so disgusted with y'all. And I get it, because y'all had to be the bad guys. You had to be their mothers and fathers. And because they were detached from their drug addict parents. Now, guess what? Not only the millennials in our community, it don't matter what race a millennial is, they're
Ain't that the
all
truth?
alike. They're all alike. I don't care if they're white. I don't care if they're Asian. I don't care if they're Puerto Rican. It does not matter what age the millennial is. That is the most powerful generation walking around here right now. And until they, at growing up as children, nobody listened to them. Not Big Mama, not their mama. Nobody listened to them. But when we finally, as Gen X, is the first ones to listen to them. Gen X, us, my generation. They were able to teach us things that we were where they showed us where we were stuck at. It was the millennial that came out and said, why are you there? You was not born in the slavery days. We were all psychologically stuck in slavery mindsets until the millennials came out and said, look, I'm not with that shit, mom. Deuces. That's why they do so good, do so great, millennials. Because we were stuck in 1865 thanks to our prior leaders. We're talking about people like
Remember, I said the Black
Martin
Caucus.
Luther King, all of them kept their grandchildren stuck in the old Southern slavery days. Me being in the North ain't never experienced Southern Jim Crow laws, but I thought I did. Why did I, as a Generation X, continue to think that I was in Jim Crow laws? Because you have people like Jesse Jackson's goofy ass, Al Sharpton's goofy ass, calling themselves and naming themselves our leader. And we are listening to their continuous rhetoric for their disdain towards themselves.
Isn't that the Black Caucus?
Racial hate. I don't know who they are. Okay. Al Sharpton with his Benjamin Franklin looking ass. It looked like the dude. He looked like the dude on I'm serious.
That's
All
not
right. We had to pull away as Gen X. We had to stand just like the Y generation stood up to us and said, yo, ma, kill it. We have to do that to the boomers. We did. I had to literally say, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Obama, all of them were the worst ever for us. That's why I love the millennials, because they're the ones who woke us up. They're the ones who showed us, who told you you couldn't open a business? Who told you that? And I had to think, nobody did. It was the belief in the democratic system that psychologically destroyed us. Talk about bruising of the brain that their Bible speaks about. That was the biggest bruise ever. And that's a fact. And I had to wake up and smell the coffee and say, you know what? I got to get away from these goddamn people. Because if I don't, I'm never, ever going to. I wish I had my newspaper 20 years ago when I was really pushing hard in politics. I just got my own newspaper in 2021. What kept me from that? I was too far up the Democrats' anal. So now we have to tell, we have to, it's like I'm rushing everything that I wish I could have did 20 years ago. So you're never too late to fix shit. So this is what today's segment is about. The Democratic mindset and the Republican mindset, Copper. We got to fix it. But guess what? We have to listen to the millennials. Your time passed. I'm not letting mine pass. So let's get into the mindset of the Democratic mindset and the Republican mindset. Let's understand today that our people across these 50 states have been psychologically damaged by the Democratic Party. All this time, we never gave Republicans a chance. I don't care. I'm not going to listen to a boomer, a Al Sharpton, a Jesse Jackson mindset person to tell me about the Republicans. That's our problem right there. That was our biggest problem right there. I believe if we were psychologically washed earlier, we wouldn't be where we are today as a
Agreed.
people. We wouldn't.
No,
So
you're right.
That's true.
what I'm working on as a Gen X, I'm not disrespecting my parents, you and Irma, but what I am going to do is I recognize my error and I'm going to push forward in assistance to the millennials. The millennials ain't no joke. That is probably, and it doesn't matter what their race is. This is not a race thing. The millennials are so powerful. The millennials today are like our ancestors back in the old day. They're not scared of shit. They're the most fearless generation since our ancestors stood up. The last time our ancestors stood up, where they weren't punks, was back in the 1860s.
Call my mama a punk.
I'm sorry, I gotta keep it a buck. It don't matter what the race is, but we're focused on our community. Today, these older Gen X, and I'm keeping it a buck. I ain't even gonna lie, they're punks. It's the millennials that make them look horrible. The millennials ain't scared of shit. I don't care what their race is.
But do
The
you
one
think
thing about them, they can work together. That's something we couldn't do. The millennials can work together. We couldn't do that. We sucked.
I think a lot of that though, Bethany, is because our parents, that's a generational thing that was passed down from generation to generation.
Yeah.
Because I think it was beaten to our ancestors, told our ancestors to vote. This is what you got to do. They were forced into it, and it became just like the Bible. It became a way of life to them, and they knew nothing else but to pass it down. Because I remember a couple of conversations with my mother about the terms she was using to describe herself as Negro, black, colored, and all this thing. And it became clear that that was something that was passed down to her. And she just kept passing it down to us.
Yeah, because it was our culture.
Yeah.
It was culture. It was very cultural. But see, me, I'm in the middle. The problem that Gen X has, and it's like being, you remember the game we used to play in school, tug of war?
Hmm.
That's what my generation suffered. We're not boomers, okay? We're talking LL Cool J, 50 Cent, New Edition, Bobby Brown. We're all Gen X. So it's like when it comes to our generation, because you see how I am, I'm a straight up political warrior. I'm going to exercise my freedom of speech. And I don't care who doesn't like it. Most of the people that don't like it are boomers. And in case you don't know what a boomer is, I'm going to put it back up.
I
You
know what
born,
it is.
but no, not you. I'm talking to the audience. We have 1,090 people watching.
Oh. Hey,
Okay.
thousand.
So you people born in 1946 to 1964,
You're a boomer.
your time is over. And
You don't
the-
have
the
to
prob-
get on your knees like that, Bethany.
I'm sorry,
you-
but no,
have to
I'm
just
trying to
knock
prove
it
my
out.
point here. It's time for us to take care of y'all. How about that? That sound better?
That's better. Don't hurt us like that now. Come on now.
Okay. No, because we still dealing with the younger boomer generation at work, wherever we are.
Yeah.
And they're so effing nerve-wracking. And it's like, I guess with every generation, the
I think they don't
younger
want to. They don't
generation
want
is
to
waiting for
change
them
their.
to get out and
Uh-huh.
go sail on a boat some goddamn where and shut the F up, because it's changed drastically now. Gen Z is standing up. Gen Z is in their 20s now. And when they look back at the boomer generation, that's like prehistoric to them.
Dinosaur
When you
age.
look at Gen Z, yeah, because they're the millennials babies are Gen Z. Some of them. Now, you. So let's move on. I don't want to dwell on this too much longer, but I'm gonna keep this up just for a minute to say that millennials, what regarding the tug of war. Remember that game with the rope?
Mm-hmm.
Tug of war. When we played in school, we played tug of war. Half of the classroom was on one side and the other side. This is what it feels like to someone in my era, because I'm Gen X. We're between the boomer generation and the millennials. And it's like a tug of war. It's like, damn, I want my mother to shut up. But damn, my son, they don't get it. They don't understand. They're in a new time. They can be anything they want to be. And the shit that's produced today did not or was not even heard of in a boomer generation. Like a boy could be a girl, girl could be a boy. This was not even thought of in the boomer generation. So it's way different. So we Gen X are in the middle saying, okay, granny's getting old. She don't understand, but I get it. And they're going to always be homophobic. Forget it. Ever trying to change them. They are Bible indoctrinated and they're Democratic indoctrinated and Republican indoctrinated. Anyway, moving along, y'all, for a minute. Let's get it. So we couldn't get a millennial on the panel. I'll ask one more time. Is there someone from the Y generation that can assist us? Because we can't speak for the Y generation. I can only speak for the millennials to a certain extent before I have to silence myself and let them speak, because they're like 20, 30 years ahead of their time. Millennials. They're a very gifted generation. All right. I don't think we can get a Gen Y up here. Don't be scared of Granny and Grandpa.
Yeah, come talk to us, Puddin'. Come on, as my brother
You're not
said.
going to get a beating. Okay, I'm Mom. Don't be afraid. If we can get a Gen Y up here, that would be so helpful to this segment.
Come on,
But it doesn't
Puddin'.
look like it. They probably still got the coal in their eye. You know, the millennials don't brush their teeth and wash the coal out their eyes. Now that'll get them up here.
Y'all gonna take that? Don't take that from her.
But anyway, let's get it, y'all. Democratic mindset, and this is only a few slides, and then we're gonna go to copper stuff. And we're talking about Democratic mindset versus Republican mindset. Overcoming indoctrination, removing psychological barriers. And that's with me, Bro Charles, and Sister Irma. Let's get it. Why? I'm gonna read this. We're gonna go through this first. They're millennials, Smoke. You ain't no damn millennial. You a Gen X, just like me. You sit your little doodle butt back, Smoke Signal. All right. So one of the things that I I'm not sure where Trump is on this, but I am totally against dismantling and getting rid of central government, meaning the federal government. Oh, hell no. World War III will break out, and I'm going to be on the side where we keep the federal government.
I agree.
I'm telling you why. You're going to find out why in a minute. I'm giving my opinion, and y'all can give your opinion. But first, let's figure out why it was established. All right. That's fine. Come on. This thing is slow. This thing is bugging. Man, I ain't got time for this. All right. So, why was the federal government established? The federal government was formed to create a unified national system with enough power to address issues affecting the entire country, while also preventing any single branch or state from becoming too powerful, essentially aiming to balance order with liberty by dividing power between different levels of government. The federal government and the states through a system of checks and balances. This was done after the weakness of the Articles of Confederation became evident following the American Revolution. So, in
Yep.
other words, and this is true, because we had the states and we had the Articles of Confederation, but individual states would have been fighting over too much power, and they needed something. We had something for the individual states to check each other, because you had your executive branch, your legislative branch, and your judicial branch. And you have those three branches checking one another. Neither one of them have power over the other, but all three of them have distinct roles in their states. Example, the executive branch enforces the law. The legislative branch passes the law. The power is in the legislative branch, and they will tell you you learn that at every state general assembly. The power is in the legislator.
Correct.
And what the legislative do is pass laws. These are your local senators and representatives. And the governor, which is the executive branch, they enforce all those laws. Now, no one's saying, of course, all those laws that they pass are constitutional or unconstitutional. Their judicial system, their state judicial system, is the third branch of government that checks that at the door. But every state sticks together. So they needed a system that needed to check the states at the damn door. Because who's going to check the individual states? Because the states, if we leave it up, this is why we have the federal government. If we leave it up to the states to check themselves at the door, they never
won't
gonna
do it.
get checked at the door, because their judicial system is rigged. So
Sure is.
right. So in order to check the state at the door, that's why you need the federal government, so that the federal government can determine what's constitutional or unconstitutional, because all of them have their own individual state constitutions, but there is a U.S. Constitution, which is at the federal level, which all states cannot be in
Contradiction.
right. They can't be in contradiction. So this is why we have the federal government to say, oh, hell no, you state of Connecticut, you state of Michigan, you out of whack with your laws. It's unconstitutional. You can't do that to your citizens. So I say, if you thinking about getting rid of the central system, the federal government, oh, I'm going to be there with my feathers and my bows and my 9mm, since we got them now, and we going to war. We need the federal government.
It
My
will
que-
happen.
my question is he doing it because he know or believe that they are just?
I don't think he wants to get rid of it.
I think he might believe that they are just as corrupt as the as the um as the states.
Well, if they're corrupt, we have to find the corruption in them and remove them justices' asses
Because he must
and
have a
replace
reason
them
for
with
wanting
new
to do
ones.
it. He must have a
Well,
reason for wanting to do it. It's not
if he
logical.
has a reason to do that, huh? Go ahead, baby. I'm sorry.
It's not
We had a
likely.
delay.
I know. It's not. It seems like it's not likely. He's not a dumb man. He's a very smart man. So for him to want to go to that extreme, he must have a good reason to want to dismantle them. I mean, why
Oh,
would you
if
want
he
to get rid of,
dismantled,
why would you want to get rid of something that is working for the people unless you have good reason to believe that it is not working for the people?
yeah, we have to. Well, the old goons that died out, that are dying out from sitting up there, are get like I said, it's going to take replacement. So Goofy
And that's
Ginsburg,
something else. That's
Goofy,
something
the
else.
oldest Goofy lady, was her name Ginsburg. She's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
Okay,
They,
she's
they were
gone.
originally
So
supposed to only serve a certain amount of term or time, wasn't they?
no,
No.
not the justices. They got that for life. Most
Yeah.
do, even in states. Once you're appointed, that's for life because you have to uphold the Constitution.
Oh, really?
And
Yeah. Remember,
they're
they're
there for
appointed by
life.
the president. They're appointed by the president. They're not appointed by Congress or the Senate. They're there for the term of their life, unless they retire early or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh,
other than that, no, their seat is set.
no, talk to me.
My thing is, I would say, oh, because I love Trump. Y'all know that's my boy, and I support him. Trump's a businessman, so if for him to say that, I can only assume this, that he wants to get rid of it because of for business purposes. So if he's a businessman, there must be a business reason why he would say dismantle them. It has to do with business. I would have to say. I don't know. And I would really like someone to ask him or speak out. And if Democrats do, because they're watching the segment, and if you hear the news and they start talking about Trump wants to get rid of, the federal government,
I think that's a lie.
they're watching this. Don't listen to the Democrats because they're on a tantrum right now.
Mm-hmm.
We need to hear from the horse's mouth, someone from the Trump administration to speak why he said that. Because maybe in the background, Copper, you could Google why Trump said he wants to get rid of central government or whatever. But I hope he don't, just for this purpose. I mean, like, if there's corruption at that level, there's ways of finding out the corruption and we remove them. And
I believe that's what he's going to do. He's going to remove them. He's not getting rid of the federal government. He's getting rid of the corruption of the federal government.
Well, he needs to make
Okay.
that make that clarity.
Yeah, we need to hear more because I'm not gonna throw my boy out like that. Trump. I went hard for Trump to getting back in office, but I would really like to hear. I don't know if Willie knows why he watches a lot, or Candace. Now, you know what? I want to send Candace a text and see if she could look into it for me, Candace Owens.
Let
But
her come on the show.
yeah,
Can
I'm,
somebody
you know what?
let
I'm gonna call
Golden?
her.
Can somebody let Goddess Centurion know that, yeah, there is more than one constitution, but they're only using one constitution, and it is the United States Constitution of 1872. That's it.
I don't know, but we're getting ready to get into it now. But like I said, I want to find out more why Trump, if this is alleged, said that he want to get rid of the federal government. I don't know if he was upset, but I'd like to know more. But that's something I'm against. I like the fact that we have our 9 Supreme Court justices. I do. Because these states, you're going to understand why after we read these. These states are evil, especially Democratic states. If it wasn't for having a federal government to deem something constitutional or unconstitutional, the states it wouldn't be a problem for these states to keep letting immigrants in. Illegal immigrants. We need the federal government to step in and say, yo, you're in, violation of the Constitution. Okay, the Constitution said born citizens. These people are not born; they're illegal. All this, you're harboring fugitives. Once you step on the soil illegal, you're a fugitive. You're in violation of our laws.
Speaking of the immigrants, do you guys believe or think or feel that Trump is going to follow through with deporting them back to where they came from? Because he's not the first president to mention about deporting the immigrants back across the border. He's not the first one, but no one.
I think Trump is, just because who he is. He is German.
He is. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Not just no dirty criminals like
he ain't just talking that. He getting ready to
talking no dirty criminal. I want their asses out there. If our military could go over in other countries and blow up other countries, it's nothing for them to get all these damn illegals out. Go to the I want them to barricade the sanctuary cities, even if they have to put us on martial law for 2 goddamn months. Do it. China put you on martial law in a minute. Put my ass on martial law. Just let us work at home. If you see Sister Bethany stick her head out the window, so get your ass back in the house. I need to go down the street and get a pack of cigarettes. Get your ass back in the house.
Like, there she go again. She got her ass outside. Can't keep her ass in the house.
See, they don't have a problem getting these illegals up out of here, and they don't need to use martial law. Go back and take a look at when they put the Japanese in concentration camps. They didn't put the people of America under martial law. No, they rounded them up. They used the military to round them up.
But I think
they didn't do that.
Or if they're going to do, and because this is something we never did, an exercise, but I really believe that if Trump is going to do this mass deportation for the protection of the U.S. born citizens that are here legally, there should be martial law declared, because they might have to shoot one of these fools. They might catch him in Walmart walking around shopping with an EBT card. And if they try to run, now you have
the people will grab his butt and it'll be a wrap. The people in Walmart would beat that guy after death or that woman, and then hand them over there to ICE.
But I mean, that's part of protecting.
Here you go.
Wouldn't that be part of protecting the citizens? If you're performing military operation in a Walmart and you see like 50 illegal immigrants in there with EBT cards and they got to go, the citizens can't be in harm's way. I think that it would be necessary to impose martial law so that they can take care of this process.
The only one, Sister Bethany, would be in harm's way with something like that would be a lot of the elders. But these young ones, they'll
Right.
snatch them up. ICE would have to lock up a lot of these American citizens for beating them illegals up the way they're gonna beat them up.
Right. And that's what we can't have. I mean, if you're not in the armed forces, okay, and you're not in active duty, you shouldn't interfere with the armed forces job. Their job is
No,
to protect you.
Americanies. No, they won't stand in the middle. Oh no, they won't.
So again, I think if they're going to do mass deportation and they want to get it done within, like a 3-month period of time, we should be under martial law so they could exercise this process out just so the citizens are safe. I mean, if they're going to institute martial law, I don't think that they would make us stay in the house 24 hours. There'll be, certain times they say, okay, we're going to let the senior citizens out so they could do their grocery shoppings, and there'll be soldiers there to protect them. And then they have to, they have an hour and a half to get in and out the grocery store, and they should go at these hours, just for safety, because we don't want our elderly harmed in a crossfire. So
Yeah,
that's all I'm talking about.
These
safe.
elders today be walking around with more with more damn firearms and protections than some of these young ones.
Ain't that the truth? Because I walk around with mine every day. I don't think. Shoot, try me if you want to. Yeah, I'm of the generation that was born between 1947 up to 1964. But try me if you want to. I'll put you to sleep.
I know some elders got some fire.
It's this. You're a Gen X. You could have hit the link. You're a millennial. I need a millennial up here. I'm getting attacked by 2 boomers.
We ain't attacking you.
She ain't been attacked yet.
We ain't gonna attack you. We're not gonna attack you.
I'm scared of Gen X is scared of Big Mama and Grandpa.
That's right.
We still have that in us. So I need a millennial up here who's not afraid of Big Mama and Grandpa.
Look, we love our children. We love our cousins. And we love our children and cousins. We ain't gonna do that. We got sense enough to steal. We got 2 ears. We know when to listen.
Yeah.
So
we're not like our mothers and fathers who did not.
Hell no.
They were so sad.
I disagree. I grew up with y'all. Y'all raised us. My mother's a late boomer, 76 years old. Y'all was horrible.
Oh no, them right there knock your heads off. Them right there
was abusive. We got beats with stitching cords. Y'all was abusive. Y'all are the reason why.
Them right there knock your heads off. That generation there knock your head off. Oh no.
And turn
y'all the reason why we had to create DCF.
Oh hell no.
Y'all was abusive. Y'all beat us with the stitching cords.
That was our generation. That was our.
Yeah, we got that. No, we didn't do our children like that.
They wet the belt. They wet the belt.
No.
And give us spankings. Made us go get switches so that you could beat us with our own switch we picked. That was that was terrible.
See, we knew what to do for that. We knew what to do for them. See, we knew beatings and all that crap wasn't gonna work on them. So what we did was we put a lot of them on what they call punishment, which meant cleaning duties. We knew they hated that.
You know what I used to do? Because when I grew up, I knew that shit wasn't right to beat the hell out your kids every time they did something wrong.
Right.
So I knew that my kids hated for me to talk to them continuously.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, I got your little ass. Come here, let's talk about it.
Right, beat you up mentally.
We talk about it, and we talk about it, and we talk about it. I let it go. I let them think that it's over. Now, like, okay, come on, let's talk about it again. That shit.
That shit would drive them crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, they would think 3, 4, 5 times before they did some bullshit again. I was like, no, you ain't
nothing worse than that mental whooping.
This link is for a brave millennial to come on the panel. Please do not click this link if you're not a brave millennial.
Come on.
We need a millennial, one, either a boy or a girl, or I will take 2, a boy and a girl. But anyway, Um, American Isness said that if we were to institute martial law, she thinks African Americans will stand in the middle and try to protect them. Well, see, this is the
Nope.
part because they should be deported back to Africa,
They
and I think they should bring back the beheading law where you get beheaded for treason.
damn, Bethany.
Huh?
Damn, really? You
Well,
believe that?
yeah. Because
It's written in the Constitution. Don't y'all read it?
I mean, for treason, I think beheading should be brought back. And what else?
Just a little
What is
barbaric.
the other one they have when you have treason? Do they line you up against the wall and
Yeah, military. You going in front of that military tribunal and if you convicted, you getting shot.
Y'all barbaric.
Oh, really? And they locking
how
people
else
up
do you
every day
teach
for 25 years. Come on now.
Well,
how
yeah.
else do you teach the people? See, this is why I like Chinese culture better than ours. Because they don't be playing. I seen Chinese people, they scary to me. Because they'll be like,
Do y'all remember back in
be
the
like this. They be like, I failed you. Punish me.
Sister
They
Bessie,
be
was
like,
it in the
I failed you, Master. I failed you. Punish me, please. They
Oh,
was
ask the
this
master
back
to
in the
punish
late
them.
80s?
I what?
Was this back in the late 80s where two of them white boys, one was spraying graffiti in Japan, and another one was busting out windows in China, and they was talking about flogging that boy with that what do
oh
you
yeah,
call it?
I remember that. Yeah.
Man, these folks over here were crying the blues that white boy was getting ready to get flogged with that bamboo. Oh, they were gonna tear him up with that. Oh, they cried the blues behind that.
They was gonna whoop his
See,
butt.
there's a lot of business you can do with other countries. Like we got our Pookies and Ray Ray asses over here. We should send them to prison over in China, and China will discipline their ass.
Oh, that's for sure.
I'm serious.
They
That's
got a way of
China.
fixing your brains.
I swear, this is why I love China. They have such. And now I'm not talking about communism and extreme torture where they take a nail and a needle and stick it in your fingernail.
Oh,
You
Lord.
know, none of that. But discipline, I like their discipline. They have other discipline measures, and they start extremely early with education with their children, and they're very organized with it. So I really like it. But at this point, if a little African American, okay, jumps out and try to protect an illegal immigrant, they should be beheaded. Under my administration, they would be beheaded. I bring back the beheading on treason law because you're in the way of justice,
You're in the way of
But-
progress.
progress, and justice. But that would be under my administration. So be careful, y'all. I might run for president after Trump and make some more excruciating changes. I've been watching a lot of Chinese movies, and speaking of that, and what? Speaking of that,
She said she watch a lot of Chinese movies. People, y'all better watch it.
we're
Just
gonna.
give me the thing.
I always watch
name?
Chinese movies and Asian movies all my life.
What
So
was
I
that
watch on
Marvel?
Netflix.
I remember the
Huh?
Marvel where he had the glove, the thing. What was his name? It was a Marvel movie where the guy had the glove and he had the ability to delete people.
Oh yeah, I
didn't
remember
see
that. Thanos.
Thanos. Yeah,
Thanos.
just give me the Thanos glove. Like,
Oh yeah, he was deleting the whole universes, wasn't he?
He was messing them up. He was like, "Oh, you need to go out and come back in." Nope, you don't need to be here. Yeah.
I've been watching it, and they have like these, with those needles. I forgot that quick what you call them. That they acupuncture. Well,
Oh yeah.
Chinese people got away. Like if you're talking and they say we need you to go to sleep, they just pop you somewhere. They have a way of finding a particular, I don't know, joint.
Nerve.
A
nerve.
pressure
Yeah, pressure point where they just pop it and you fall asleep. We need to be able to do that.
Yeah.
If I be do
Yeah.
that to me like every hour, do that to me. Bing, bing.
Dang.
I'm telling
Lord
you, I
have
love
mercy.
Chinese movies. But anyway, let's get it, y'all. But yeah, I would like to bring back beheading. If you treason this country, beheading laws should be enforced. But that's just my thought. See, these are the free thoughts that we don't think of. And when you're thinking politically, this is something I think should be instituted. If you're doing mass deportation of illegal immigrants, martial law should be in effect until it's over.
Yeah.
Seriously, because they got to go through all 50 states and get them suckers out of here. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's
Many of them, Sister
one.
Bethy, gonna leave on their own when they hear about this. They gonna get up out of here on their own. It's
I
them
don't
other
know.
ones. Yeah, it's
I
them
don't know.
other
They
ones.
like to lay low, and people hide them out to be their slaves and
Yep.
madams and
And if they
maids
get
in their
caught with
home.
them, and if they get caught with them, they get removed out of here too. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
they should deport them to where they came from.
deport them where they came from, and the ones that's hiding them, deport them on GP. Period.
Deport them right along with them.
Yes.
Yeah. I
But
understand
anyway,
that they came over here for a better way of life. I get that part. But what I don't understand is why you didn't stand up from where you were to try to change your own state of living. Why not try
well,
to do something with your own government? Why come over here and do
well, if
your
you're talking about South America, I'd be scared too. The cartels,
You ever
you do
been to
not
South
want to mess
America,
with them,
sister?
and I'm not going neither.
I haven't been there, but I mean, yeah, I've been there, but I understand the cartel. I understand the government is very corrupt. I get that part. But then you bring that bullshit over here to do your corruptions and shit over here.
Exactly. That's why I said, had you been to South America,
I
see,
think
you have to remember them people grew up in that mess. So when they come here, the people here are very relaxed. I mean, because we work every day. Those of us that aren't retired yet, we go about our daily lives the way we've been going. Now, these other strange people show up. They see this. But now, in these so-called sanctuary cities that they got for these people to come into, if you notice, these things or these strange people have took over and occupied certain places or buildings where they living in look way better, even though we ain't gonna live in, but it's way better than where they came from.
mhm.
And so with that being said, these people, they more grateful than even the people that are here. They will take places like that and will build them places up to look like palaces of what they want them to look like. They ain't gonna leave them sitting there trashy like that.
Yeah, I
All
And
right.
I
understand.
know many of our people don't want to hear that, but that's the truth.
No, I understand wanting a better life. I understand that going from one place to, but that, and for centuries now, that's why people have come over here to escape all of the
The
things.
nonsense of their own countries.
Yeah, I understand that part, and I get that
Uh,
part. And and if you're really honest with yourself, you would want that too. If there was an
well, I
opportunity
think
to go
I
from,
think our if I was president, I'd issue an executive order to lock our gates up for the next 20 years.
but they've
Nobody
been
could come
trying
in
to lock.
as
They've been
nobody
trying to.
nobody could come in as a citizen or apply for citizenship for 20 years. We're closed for incoming citizens. Sorry,
Yeah.
including 20 years, because 20 years that gives us a lot of time to fix our country back up and get it back fixed back right.
Our
Um,
ancestors should have been the one
right.
built the damn wall.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I
I ain't
know.
got time for them niggas right now. Anyway, I don't I'm against trying to get rid of the federal government. I will be ready for war. And another major thing that would happen when you get rid of the federal government, because now all you have is the 50 states, and they're going to go by their constitutions, and they're already dirty at their um
State level.
at the superior, appellate, and supreme levels are horrible, and they're always unconstitutional. But nobody just don't challenge them because they don't know that a particular policy or statute is unconstitutional. So if it's, in my opinion, if it's left to the 50 states just going by their own constitutions, what you're going to have is a lot of what we saw and witnessed the other day. A lot of CEOs are going to get hit.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them, especially the ones that are in power, standing on these policies. You're going to see more CEOs, CFOs, governors, mayors getting hit, popped like that. What's his name? The
Like what
Thompson
happened
guy.
up in New York.
Well, that
Well,
is
the United Healthcare CEO. That was horrible. Now, imagine there's no federal government to deem any state laws unconstitutional. You're going to see governors go because they're going to get hit. You're going to see mayors go, city councilmen. When people get tired of this shit and there's no federal system to be the supreme law of the land, that's what's going to happen. Oh, this governor acting stupid. Somebody's going to hit him. And I'm not talking Pookie and Ray Ray's going to do the hit. I'm talking about big Jimmy boy from the suburbs that been in combat and one of them damn wars over in the Middle East. So it could be anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't going to be Pookie and Ray Ray. It's going to be Big Billy Bob from the suburbs.
That's who took out that CEO this past week.
That's what's going to happen. When the difference between, because our people are not active in politics like that, when you mess with white Europeans' rights, you going to deal with the consequences and repercussions. They're not playing with your ass. They're not. White people don't play with their rights. I'm serious. They do not play. They go in combat on your ass in a minute.
Well, black people are sure enough standing up and trying to get Eric Adams's butt out of office in New York.
They ain't gonna get him. He better return Eric better return into a Republican. He's probably on his way. He's probably being waken up and to a lot of things. And see, that's why I'm having today's segment, so that people can say, you know what? I have been democratically indoctrinated. I can't see no other way. And this is why I'm having this segment to say, you might want to think about, are you really a Democrat or are you a Republican? What is your mindset? So let's continue. So that's how I feel about the federal government. Leave the damn federal government alone. All right, next slide. The weaknesses that were in the Articles of Confederation was the first American government under the Articles of Confederation was considered too weak to effectively manage national issues like trade, defense, and currency. It was too weak. And so they needed a stronger government. So the founding fathers recognized the need for a more robust national government to ensure stability and unity. Because if we let these 50 states go on their own, there will be no unity and it will not be stable. It won't if you get rid of the federal government.
No, you're right.
The division of power. The Constitution. Oh, let me mute because somebody's busy in the background. The Constitution established a federal system. That's what they did in order to make it more powerful. Dividing power between the national government and individual states, preventing any single entity from becoming too dominant, because that was an issue and they were too powerful. Look at the law that it wasn't even a law, it was a policy that Walter Plecker passed. He was able to convince the other states to deem all the damn Indians as colored. That came out of Virginia, and all the other 49 states followed. It's too much. But to this date, no one has deemed that unconstitutional. So the way to begin the process of that, you have to put yourself back to who you were, because you could do that now. Anytime a man could be a woman and a woman could be a man, you could be that damn same Indian that was taken away from you back in 1830. The checks and balances. The three branches of government, executive, legislative, and judicial, were designed to check each other's power, further preventing tyranny. The new federal Congress, because this was new, that assembled in New York and the signing of the 1789, and the newly inaugurated president, George Washington, faced enormous tasks. An entire government had to be created in the aftermath of a bitter national battle for ratification of the new federal constitution. So they had to ratify it. All administrative offices and the military forces had to be created and organized. All federal officers had to be appointed. All federal judiciary had to be created and staffed. Opposition to the new federal constitution had to be diffused. Inventiveness, cooperation, and compromise were the governing principles in these Herculean endeavors. And then he goes with this quote, James Madison, and the extent and proper structure of the Union. Therefore, we behold a Republican remedy for the diseases most incident to the Republican government. James Madison. And that was the Federalist number on number 10 on November 23rd, 1787. And yeah, we were not citizens. So now we're going to move to the Civil Rights Act of April 9th, 1866. This is where our people, sorry, boomers and back, and some Gen X next, not all, are stuck. Their mindsets are stuck here. And this is the problem that the millennials have with their grandmas and grandpas, because their mindset is still stuck in 1866, thanks to people like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and Obama and all these religious groups. They have kept our people's mindsets stuck here. During Reconstruction, and this is Reconstruction period, Congress passed several statutes aimed at protecting the rights of formerly enslaved, many of them over the veto of President Andrew Jackson. Now, y'all see this, right? Was Andrew Jackson a Republican or was he a Democrat? Hello? Hello? He was a Democrat. He was a member of the Democratic Republican Party, but his mindset, they got him pinned at Democratic Party. Andrew Jackson was a Democrat. He vetoed the 1866 Civil Rights Act. A Democrat. He vetoed it. I believe we would be in a different position had our people known that a Democrat vetoed their rights in 1866. I don't think our people would be. But now is the time to provide our people, and people, period, doesn't matter what our race is, the opportunity to say, whoa, because it's like you were stuck in a zone all these years. And you didn't even know that the party that you fight so hard is the same party that never wanted you to have the rights that you're supposed to have today. Democrats, and they're still like that today. See, they give you things so you won't think about how they really feel about you. Because it's easy to give a monkey something. As long as it's shining, the monkey's going to take it. Monkeys love shiny things. Y'all got to step back. And now is the time. Now is the time to understand and look at the harm and psychological harm that you've been under. One such law was the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which declared that all people born in the United States were U.S. citizens and had certain inalienable rights, including the right to make contracts. Before, you couldn't make contracts. To own property in their system, you couldn't own property. To sue in court, you had no representation. And to enjoy the full protection of federal law. This is why I said we need to keep our federal government. Your state is not loyal to you. The state is only loyal to itself and who it seems and identify as real citizens. Remember, you're the people who they didn't want to give rights to. Understand this. The party that you fought for since birth is the party that don't want you to have rights. And psychologically, they still have boomers in there that don't feel you deserve these rights because you're Indian. They never wanted you in their little 13 colonies. They went ham to keep you out. And you don't even know that because you're too busy running around with Popeye Jesse, Messy Jesse, and Al Sharpton with his perm back. And these fake, useless black organizations that only pop out, all of them pop out at the same time when a white policeman kills somebody that look like us. That's when you start seeing those black organizations. They only coming out to get in front of the news camper to say a few things and then they go back. It's like they go back in the dungeon. The act gave the U.S. district courts exclusive jurisdiction over criminal cases related to violations of the act and concurrent jurisdiction, along with the U.S. circuit courts of all civil and criminal cases affecting those who were unable to enforce it in state court, the rights guaranteed by the act. You understand this? This is the act. The Democrats, they didn't want you to have power. They didn't want you to be. Power is being able to go and handle your business at the federal level because the state is evil. The state system is evil.
And that's
this
why
is the power
I always
that Andrew
said,
Jackson didn't want you to have as Democrats.
That's right.
And they didn't give a damn what your color was. It wasn't
Yes.
just aimed at the brown Indians that look like me. It was to all y'all. Andrew Jackson did not want y'all to have that type of power as an individual right. He vetoed it.
Bought and sold. They were bought.
That's
The
why I
civil
said.
rights, y'all got
That's
it.
why I said. That's why I said. Whenever we do anything, it had to be on the federal level, not this state level and not this civil level, where you see certain people, and I'm not going to call them out. You see certain people.
Call them out. Call them out.
You see certain people telling these other people, yeah, you got to do this in court. You got to do this in court. You got to do that in court. And all the time, them people getting caught up in them lower courts because they themselves are just like Andrew Jackson, trying to keep our people messed up because they know the Indians from themselves. Them Moors are not Indians. I don't give
We're
a
not
damn
gonna
what nobody say,
we're not even go there and speak on them.
but that's
Anyway,
what they do.
so let's get it. So we left the act. This Civil Rights Act of 1866 gave the U.S. District Court exclusive jurisdiction over criminal cases related to violations of the act and concurrent jurisdiction, along with the U.S. Circuit Courts of all civil and criminal cases affecting those who were unable to enforce in state court the rights guaranteed by the act. The Civil Rights Act, began a gradual transformation of the federal courts into the primary forums for individuals, y'all, to enforce their constitutional and statutory rights. Now y'all hear that? Y'all can unmute now, Copper. Seriously, because the system knew and the people knew, and it wasn't just us brownies, all individual citizens, and whatever laws apply to brown people, they apply to all people. Okay, it's not all about color. I keep telling y'all.
You know,
Andrew
because it don't
Jackson
mention
wanted,
color. It's the individuals.
Andrew Jackson wanted to take your right as an individual
Away.
to enforce your constitutional and statutory right. He wanted to take that away from you, the Democrat. And they still do this to you, but you're so indoctrinated into their shiny things that you don't see their evil. And they all still act like this in corporate office. Democrats. They're still bureaucratically horrible. And they're evil. These people are evil as hell, man. You work with them every day. So that is that. So now I'll take 60 seconds because we've been out for an hour and a half, and I'm only staying on here for another hour. We're going to go over, and this is going to be a part 2. We'll come back next Saturday, me, Irma, and Copper, and work on this, where we're going to continue to work on getting our people to start understanding the mindset of Democrats on an individual basis. And the way you do that, the way some people are already swift, like a lot of our people that are Democrats. I want you to get your coffee and your tea or your peace pipe or your cigar and have a Sunday morning and go look at Congress, men and women, on an individual basis. Go read their bios and then go and look at the types of laws that they put on the table, but it gets filibustered, of course. And you're going to learn as a Democrat that, damn, she's a Republican and she put this bill up here and it went nowhere. You're going to learn that they have the same mindset as you, and they always have. You were just blindsided by Democrats and fed false rhetoric about an entire party. You can't say that all Republicans suck and they're evil and racist, because that is the biggest lie in United States history. You have great Democrats. The majority of them truly are. On an individual basis, they really are. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say all Democrats suck, because I'd be lying to my damn self. But you see what happens when an individual Democrat speaks out of code. The Democrat.
They get rid of them. They try to.
When you want to do something that the Republican been saying do, you get in trouble. They go and find dirty work on you. They just do evil to you. Eric Adams. I don't care how he slice it and try to say, no, that's not true, Sister Bethy. That's not true. No. Who you think you're talking to? I am Gen X, Eric Adams. Don't go there with me. You can't say things, but I can. There's certain parts of your rights, your freedom of speech that you can't exercise, but I damn sure can, because I am determined to get our people out of the indoctrinated mindset of a Democrat. And not so much to say, go full blast Republican, to get you to make individual choices. Even if you have to become an independent, fine. But what's nice about the independent party is you can evaluate both sides and just pick what you want. But most independent parties gear more with Republicans. They do. But we're going to start reading congressmen and congresswomen and your local state governments, Republicans' bios and laws that they want to put to the forefront, bills that they put forth. And you're going to learn that a lot of Republicans have the same mind and thought that you have. So let's say Copper Aborigine is a Republican, and he put forth a bill in your particular state on the table for the legislative body to look at. And you go look at it and say, damn, I think that's really cool. I think that's right. But you're under Democratic control. What you say about him? He's good how? What? Oh, your ass won't be sitting in that seat next year. You no longer, when you become a Democratic senator, representative, mayor, you no longer have a right to think outside the box. You what? You know you're only sitting there because we cheated on the goddamn ballots. But next year you won't be there. Open your mouth again and say that Republican put up a nice bill. See what happens. That's the threats that they do to you. They're evil. We're going to learn through these segments on, because you got to target where they hit you at. Everything they tell you about a Republican, you got to wipe it out your head. And you got to go read their bios as humans, as citizens, because they're citizens too. You got to read the laws that they put forth and the things they want to see differently and the bills that they put on the table. And you're going to see hundreds, and you're going to see thousands of bills that just sat there and made no moves because of filibustering and folks with mindsets like Andrew Jackson. Nope. You're going to learn that it was Not the Republicans are not evil like the picture that the Democrats painted for all these years. You're gonna learn that. Damn, I like all her laws, but damn, I can't even give her a clap because my Democratic Party colleagues are gonna be looking at me like, "What are you clapping for them for?" They had that much control, and that's the slave mindset. The master wants control of its slaves in its state. Color ain't got nothing to do with this shit. Don't matter what your color is. In the eyes of the higher ups in the Democratic Party, you are looked down on and you are a slave and you must conform. That's the mindset of Andrew Jackson. That's the mindset of the Democratic Party. Huh? I'll give that monkey something shiny. Try and get this monkey something shiny. Watch what happens. I'm just keeping it up. But I'm going to give it a 60-second break. All right. And then we're going to get into the 1866 Civil Rights Act. Y'all ready for that, Copper? Irma?
I'm ready.
Let it rip.
All right, my loves. Let's get it, y'all. We're going right into it. Hope you got your tea and coffee.
Got my
Yeah.
folks got my coffee.
Let's get it. Racial discrimination. And this was written by Hugh E. Hackney. And it's regarding the 1866 Civil Rights Act that Andrew Jackson, he wanted to take away your right to be able to go in federal court and fight for your right, your civil rights. Because they're always going to deny you at the state level and make you think, they're in the right, you're in the wrong. You won't know if it's constitutional or unconstitutional according to the U.S. Constitution until you go in there in court and file a lawsuit. You take away that right from the white man, I'm serious. Big Billy Bob Thornton is coming with his 9mm, all kinds of hits going out. So let's get it. Facts.
That's the
So,
truth.
so slavery in America took 3 centuries to develop, but ended up by only 4 years of civil war. Post-war legislation was enacted to guarantee the Negro equality under the laws of all states. And in the past 100 years, the Supreme Court has determined the constitutionality and application of various statutes and amendments designed for this purpose. I thought I turned that music off.
I don't hear it.
I do. I didn't turn it off. All right. Ah, where'd it go? Here we go. Can y'all still see it?
Yep.
All right. In the recent case of Jones versus Mayer, the court held that the Civil Rights Act of 1866, based on the 13th Amendment, is constitutional and protects Negroes from discrimination in the purchase or sale of real property. The holding in this case may extend the rights of Negroes to participate in many areas of life previously thought to be governed by individual choice. The 13th Amendment and incidents of slavery. Early history. Slavery developed as an accepted practice in the English colonies and was taken for granted in the New World by the time of the War of Independence in England. By the 1830s, slavery had become a predominantly Southern institution because of the climate and agricultural system found below the Mason-Dixon line. However, the 1830s gave rise to the abolitionist movement dedicated to the improvement of the Negro and the destruction of slavery. This policy seemed reasonable in the North, but a civil war was required to abolish slavery in the South. Does the 13th Amendment apply to incidents of slavery? After the war between the states, the abolitionists who had joined the Republican Party began their work of ridding the United States of slavery. To the abolitionists, slavery was an all-encompassing term, including denial of freedom and prejudice against other individuals. It was a form of involuntary servitude. Under the abolitionist view, when slavery was ended, all men would be accepted as equals by their fellow men. The 13th Amendment to the Constitution, enacted immediately after the Civil War, provided the abolition of slavery and involuntary servitude, except as a proper punishment for criminal conviction within the United States or any place subject to its jurisdiction. Section 2 of the amendment gave Congress the power to enforce Section 1 by appropriate legislation. There has been some question as to whether the 13th Amendment abolishes only slavery and involuntary servitude per se, or whether it was also prescribes the so-called incidents of slavery. And if the incidents of slavery are condemned, the troublesome question of what these incidents are then arises. The legislative history of the 13th Amendment and the backgrounds of the men who actually supported that addition to the Constitution indicate that the slavery which was to be abolished by the amendment included the incidents of the system which impaired and destroyed the rights of Negroes. The congressional debates in the spring of 1864 and in January 1865 tend to destroy the notion that the 13th Amendment applies only to slavery and involuntary servitude. Proponents of the amendment believe that the system of slavery and all the appendages would soon atrophy and disappear. These men realized that some forms of discrimination, such as refusal to sell real property to Negroes, could be legislated out of existence, and the 13th Amendment was intended as specific legislation against these. Thus, the evidence indicates that the amendment was designed to abolish, first, legally enforceable personal servitude, second, all burdens, indicia, and badges of slavery borne by the northern free Negro, and third, the very incidents of the system. The basic connotation of the phrase incidents of slavery is explained in Justice Harlan's dissent in the civil rights cases. The Supreme Court justices admit, as I have said, the 13th Amendment establishes freedom, that there are burdens and disabilities, the necessary incidents of slavery, which constitute its visible form, that Congress undertook to remove certain burdens and disabilities, the necessary incidents of slavery, and to secure to all citizens of every race and color, and without regard to previous servitude, those fundamental rights which are the essence of civil freedom. And then down here you got forced coercion or imprisonment and against his will to labor. These are just cases you can read. Thus, the incidents of slavery referred to by Justice Harlan included freedom to contract, to sue, to be a party to a suit, to give evidence, and to inherit, purchase, lease, and sell property. Even though some commentators have limited the meaning of incidents of slavery to slavery per se and involuntary servitude, Justice Harlan's definition seems to express the basic intent of the Congress which enacted the 13th Amendment and the interpretation of the post-Civil War Supreme Court. Did you want to say something?
No, it's saying it all on its own. Like I said, the thing that bothers me about a lot of this is the fact that they slipped something in there on us, and a lot of us didn't pay attention to the verbiage. It was the way it was put, and that dealt with that slavery and involuntary servitude.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes out to, whereas somebody could accuse you of you owing them a debt, meaning you owe them money, and they could take you to court and then put you on a chain gang for that amount. And that is the slick part to that 13th Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
Called
If
beyond.
if you're going to work every day from 8 to 4, that's a contract, right?
That's correct.
Right. All day long.
Is that involuntary or voluntary servitude?
That's voluntary.
Yeah.
Voluntary servitude never was written out.
Nope,
Now,
just involuntary.
so cases interpreting the phrase incidents, the Supreme Court have discussed the meaning and basis of incidents of slavery in at least two opinions. In the civil rights cases, the defendant was convicted of violating a statute which prohibited hotel operators from refusing to admit Negroes. The
Now,
defendant,
mm,
the defendant appealed on the ground that Congress had no power to make the law. The
tuh,
court, the court, in holding that the act unconstitutional, assumed arguendo that Congress, under the 13th Amendment, had the power to prohibit slavery and its incidents. However, the court added that the mere discrimination on account of race or color was not a badge or incident of slavery. Since the court did not rule on whether the 13th Amendment prohibits the incidents of slavery, the civil rights cases cannot be considered authority for the proposition that the 13th Amendment prohibits incidents of slavery.
now you see that slick shit.
Yeah. That's that double talk. Hmm.
4 decades later, the court again considered the term incidents of slavery. In Corrigan versus Buckley, the plaintiff sued to enjoin the defendant from violating a racially restrictive covenant in Washington, D.C. The defendant sought to have the case dismissed on the grounds that the covenant violated the 13th and 14th Amendments. The court held that the claim was frivolous and therefore dismissed it for lack of jurisdiction.
Hmm.
Mm-mm-mm.
The court remarked that there was clearly no violation of the 13th Amendment because it applies only to situations where the condition of slavery or involuntary servitude is forced on a Negro.
Hmm. Really?
But yeah,
Wow. Hmm.
such was not the case in Corrigan because a private contract voluntarily entered into was the only thing at issue.
Hmm. What?
That's some more of that slick shit.
Such was not the case in what? Because wait, because the private contract voluntarily entered into was the only thing that is what? Hmm.
The conclusion which seemingly can be drawn from these two cases is that the Supreme Court's view of the scope of the 13th Amendment has differed at different periods in time. The court which decided the civil rights cases apparently believed that the amendment banned not only slavery and involuntary servitude per se, but also the incidents thereof. Conversely, the court in Corrigan seemed to feel that the incidents of slavery were not proscribed by the 13th Amendment, and it wasn't. However, it seems relatively clear from the two cases that prior to 1968, the Supreme Court had never included private discrimination within the meaning of incidents of slavery. So if you had a hotel and say like you was a brown man and a white guy came to be in your hotel, you deny him, it doesn't spell it out and privately, you know, that they got to let you in their hotel.
Wow.
But you have to remember, the Democrats never wanted you in their colonial system. Period.
Nope. But when they came into yours, that's when all that applied.
Mm-hmm. 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 What's good for the pot ain't good for the kettle. Ain't that some shit?
That's what it's reading.
Ain't that some shit? Mm.
And so this is why I said that we can't get rid of the federal government,
Federal government. Exactly.
because you as an individual need to go and fight for your civil rights, because a lot of the democratic states and a lot of they never wanted you to have your rights in their system. So you as an individual, it doesn't matter what your damn race is, you need to go to federal law, federal court, so it can be supreme, so you can get some supreme laws of the land enforced, and a lot of the state court's decision to be deemed unconstitutional. So something has to happen at the federal level in order for you to have your civil rights. They had to come up with another amendment last I checked, correct?
Yep.
So let's keep reading. Like I said, we're not going to do all this today. We're going to come back. So,
It's slick, boy, I tell you.
oh yeah.
That's where
So
that term
now,
came from.
go ahead, sweetheart. What you say?
I said it's one of the ways that I wonder the terms of that term, slick Rick. Everybody
Yeah.
just slick Rick. Yeah, yeah.
You want to read the legislative debate?
No, go ahead.
Somebody, I look. That's why y'all up and see y'all boomers want us to do it and read it right. So because you got 700 and something, I don't know how many thousands people listening to you. So read it clearly.
This is page 367,
Oh, I didn't
376.
say go that far. Just the
Hey,
legislative, go to legislative debate, the Civil Rights Act.
volume
She want to
23.
tell you to do it, then she want to tell you how not to do it. Ain't she something?
Ain't that the truth?
Ain't she something?
You have to- All right, go ahead.
All right, the Southern Law Journal, part 2. The Civil Rights Act of 1866. Legislative debate. Enactment of the 13th Amendment did not bring about all of the results desired by its proponents. Slavery, involuntary servitude were established, but the equality of the Negro was not achieved. Hello. Thus, debate in Congress soon began over a proposed bill, the basis of which was to be Section 2 of the 13th Amendment, to protect the Negro from inequality. The purpose of the bill, as stated by its author, Senator Thumble, was to secure for all men the great and fundamental rights, and break down all discrimination between black and white men. The bill was enacted as the Civil Rights Act of 1866. You can move it up. The basis of the 1866 Act, although the original version of the 1866 Act clearly was intended as an implementation of congressional power under the 13th Amendment, Congress reenacted the 1866 Act verbatim after the passage of the 14th Amendment. This reenactment has generated some confusion as to the intended constitutional basis of the Act. The fact that the 1866 Act was enacted subsequent to the enactment of the 14th Amendment has been mentioned in at least one Supreme Court case, but the court has never held that the act was based on the 14th Amendment.
I wonder why.
I was just getting ready to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Determining the constitutional basis of the 1866 Act is important in ascertaining whether Congress intended to legislate against only state action, or whether Congress meant for the act to extend to the actions of the individual. If the act extends to private action, the assumption must be made that it condemns at least some of the incidents of slavery. A look at the legislative history of the act and a detailed analysis of the cases involving the act may answer these questions. You can move it up.
Wait. Wait. Okay. It right there where it says if the act.
Yeah, you can move it back down so she can.
It says if the act extends to private actions, the assumption must be in. Wait. What? Okay, so they're saying that if it happened, if the act was private as opposed to public.
Yeah, you see right there where it says, let's go back over this.
The assumption must be made that how. Okay, all right, never mind.
Determining the constitutional basis of the 1866 Act is important in ascertaining whether Congress intended to legislate against only state action, or whether Congress meant for the act to extend to the actions of the individual. If the act extends to private action, the assumption must be made that it condemns at least some of the incidences of slavery.
So how the hell are they making the? How can you divide that? I mean, how can you say one is not as bad as the other?
You can't.
So what? That's that slick ass talk again?
That's that slick talk. Yeah. That's that snake talk right there.
Because my mom always told me that if you were with someone and they did a crime, you just as guilty as the one that did the crime.
Exactly. But if you go to any of the court cases, what you'll notice is if two people have done this crime, what they'll do is they'll try to have two separate cases dealing with the two individuals. The one that did the crime, and then the one that was accessory to the crime. That's how they play it.
That's a slick shit right there. God damn. Wow. This the stuff that make you mad. This that stuff that make you mad and make you just say, Lord have mercy.
Well, you got to remember the people that they're dealing with this, and that is our people. Nobody else is they're dealing with nobody else in this. They say the word individual, but are they really thinking about the individual?
Don't you wish you could go back in time and have a conversation with your ancestors and like say, look, y'all need to read this damn bill.
That's exactly what I was thinking about earlier when we were talking.
Well, you need to call your great grandmother now. Great.
Man, I can't tell you how many times I did my genealogy, and I've been like, I wish I could have sit back and talked to y'all and told you, look here, you letting these people pull the rug over you.
Well, they didn't know themselves because remember what Sister Bethy said earlier. She mentioned the three clowns. Well, actually two of them. That's Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton.
It's a whole lot more of them.
A whole lot more.
Yeah,
There's a whole lot more of them, but I just won't even go there today. This is why we're going to
But they did not through the, what do they call it? Through the, listen, through the Baptist conventions, they did not tell their ministers who was over all of those congregations throughout America about any of this. They may have spoken about it, but they never went into the extent of it like we are today. So those people could get the understanding of what was what and what they were up against.
Oh
They
yeah,
didn't do that.
the church failed us. The church.
That's why you can't understand. You're learning this today because the church ministers and their little Bible, even the elect will be fooled. So you got a whole bunch of fooled ass pastors.
Ain't that the truth?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what I was saying about when I wanted to say earlier. This is why these generations have been screwed up because they were always told. How many of you all, even me, when we were growing up, all we heard was the words, the three words. Oh, the Civil Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, or the Civil Rights. But you never heard them say, no, correction. It's the Indian Civil Rights of 1866. It is the Indian Civil Rights Act of 1964. It is the Indian Civil Rights Voting Act of 1968. You didn't hear them say that.
I never heard them say that.
Of course not.
Mm-hmm.
That
And
is why we got screwed over because
and
our parents had, think about this. There's three of us on here. We had in our possession, many of us, we had in our possession the encyclopedias. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now ask this question. If our parents was being groomed to buy those encyclopedias, why weren't they also being groomed to get these documents?
They don't want them to know.
Exactly. That is why we were in the condition that we were in. That's why I said earlier, I wasn't going against the millennials. I love them because they brought this forward.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of them who had the encyclopedias didn't even open the dang on things. I know
Well,
my mama didn't. My mama didn't open them damn encyclopedias and read that
but it wasn't for her. It was for you. It wasn't for her. It's for you. Just like it was for me. It was for me. It wasn't for my mother and my father and my grandma. You know what they had. Let's not play crazy on here. You know darn well if somebody asked you, what is that Reader's Digest over there about? You couldn't tell them, but your parents could tell because that was their books. We were given the
almanac stuff.
Yes, they knew about all of that. So we can't blame them for certain things, but I'm just pointing it out about those that did know. They kept it from them who did not know. And that caused me, my generation, not to really know. We heard of these documents, but we were not privy to read these documents.
No.
Correct.
So
you were trained not to listen to congressmen and mayors and legislators. You were trained to listen to pastor. Leave it all, and you were told to leave it all in the good Lord's hands.
Exactly.
And don't ask no questions.
There you go.
So that's why I said I don't go against these millennials because they brought these documents out for us to read them. Now, those of my generation, if they choose not to read them or they choose to just say, oh, well, you don't know what you're talking about, let them go.
Mm-hmm.
I always said that, let them go.
Yeah. 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 You got to let them go.
Because if you can't keep an open mind, if your brains are that closed up that you can't learn or relearn things, something wrong with them.
That's true. That's true.
I went and started learning all of this and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Why didn't we learn this in school? Or why didn't my parents or grandparents have this in their possession for me to know this? So when I got to this day and time, even with my own children and grandchildren, they would be that much more powerful mentally.
Okay, question. Do you think that the teachers did not teach us this because they did not know, or did they not teach us to this teach us this because they would get in trouble.
Some of them didn't know, and some of them a lot of them did get in trouble who did teach this. They were thrown out of them schools because it's like what Sister Bethy said. They went out of code. They didn't stay in code. So when they didn't stay in code and that information got out that classroom by some other children and it got to their homes and then their parents came back to them schools talking, well, Miss such and such or Mr. such and such taught my daughter this and that's wrong and blah, 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 not realizing they were being taught right. But it was the parents who were closed-minded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's get to
the private and state action. That's where we at.
Go ahead.
You want me to go?
Yeah, and stop at amendment because then I want you to read. Yeah.
Okay. Private or state action intended by Congress. The early legislative debates on the bill, which was to become the Civil Rights Act of 1866, support the view that the act was based on the 13th Amendment. How? You got to go.
Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna make this a little bigger because I want you to read this down here.
Down at the
We're
bottom.
gonna stop. Yeah, we're gonna stop at.
C-note?
Yeah, hold up. Let me hang on. I just did.
Oh yeah. No, you got it right. You got it right.
I want to make sure she could see it. And I want you to read. I want you to read here the C note number 23.
Okay.
All that.
C-note.
And then I'm gonna tell you to stop when go.
Okay. C note 23. Okay. C note 11, supra, whatever that means.
That's a Latin word.
Okay. Congress had ample information pointing to the fact that the mistreatment of Negroes was limited to state legislation, but also included discrimination by private individuals and unofficial groups. I wonder who those are.
All right, so that's you can stop right there because they're just naming W. Brock and American Crisis. That's you could read that. That's a case. These are our cases.
Okay.
And then senator from Illinois and a leader in civil rights legislation. These are cases that we could copy and paste and read. But we're not going to do that right now. I want you to start with Virginia versus Raves. And
yeah, I was just reading that. Oh boy.
Go ahead.
Virginia versus Raves. 100 U.S.
That's the case. If you can copy and paste that, it'll pull up the case and you can read it. But here's what it's saying. The court
stated by way of dicta that the Civil Rights Act was enacted pursuant to the 14th Amendment.
Okay, stop. I want to read that and get y'all to understand this. The court stated by way of dicta that the Civil Rights Act was enacted pursuant to the 14th Amendment. Now you got to stop there. You know why? Because when you see dicta, that's just talking. There ain't no law. Dicta just means what, a judge sitting there and just stating it. That's just a statement. It wasn't law. They just talked about it. The court stated, because they just made a statement by way of dicta. They didn't pass no law, put no law, or it wasn't no, you know what I'm saying? Dicta is just conversation. They just made a statement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like saying the court stated by way of conversation that the Civil Rights Act was enacted pursuant to the 14th Amendment. So
yeah, it wasn't no law. They just saying that's just dicta. Dicta means they just conversated about it. That was it. It wasn't. It just came out their mouth. It wasn't nothing solid written. They just made a statement. Like you're the judge sitting on the bench, and you say, the civil rights Say I'm Justice Big Butt,
Ah,
and I'm going to state this. The Civil Rights Act was enacted pursuant to the 14th Amendment. That's all. It was just a statement they made. It wasn't nothing they found or just a statement. That's why they tell you read. This is why when you're reading, you got to read like you in third grade so you get every word. The court stated by way of dicta. Dicta does not is not law or statute you stand on. It's just a conversation. So when you're reading a lot of cases and you're seeing comments, it's really just the judge's opinion, personal opinion. That's all dicta is a statement and personal opinion made by a judge. It's not a law. Now, do you understand what I'm saying? Give me a 1.
I understand that. I got
I
it.
understand it. One,
Dicta is a personal statement made by a justice. So, like, if you're reading a Supreme Court's case in Roe versus Wade, they give you their personal opinion first on how they feel, so that the audience know this is how I feel about the particular situation. Nobody should be aborting their babies, but this is what the law says. Then they go into the law.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he stated it doesn't mean it's the law. They're going to
And it
give you
was
their personal
confusing.
opinion. They're going to give you their whole personal opinion before they read the decision, so that they let you know that I think like you do. This is what I think. This is my personal opinion on it. But unfortunately, I have to apply the law. So now here's the law. Boom. Dicta is
correct.
just a personal statement made by a justices or a magistrate. They're going to tell you their personal opinion, but unfortunately, they got to apply the law that's not in your favor. That's what dicta is. Dicta is not law. Y'all, you got that? You understand that? Copper and Irma
Yeah, I do.
in the
You know, I
chat.
I
do.
understand it. I got it. Mm-hmm.
Chat, you got that? And this is for all people across 50 states, man. Dicta, when you read it, a lot of people try to justify their actions, and they make the mistake of quoting dicta rather than the law.
How
So a
about
lot of justices' decisions,
how about we say
their dicta is used by a defendant who doesn't know any better.
how
That
about
dicta is not the law.
how about using a dicta in the term of it was their opinion?
Mm.
That's
Right.
all. It's like an opinion. It's like a butthole. Everybody got one.
Yes, it's just an opinion. That's all it is. So you can't use when you're justifying anything, when you're trying to defend yourself, you can't use a judge's dicta as supporting information. It doesn't hold no weight.
That's
Sure
like
Because
don't.
it's just the judge's personal opinion. You gotta really read the case and look for the actual law.
You know
When
what's
you
a good
start,
example of this?
what?
A very good example. Now, there's 2 movies I've seen. Now, I might be wrong, people, but there are 2 movies that I seen that really work according to what Sister Bethy is talking about. One of the movies is I don't remember the title of it, but I can tell you Tom Cruise is in it. It is very good. The other one is a comedy, and it's called My Cousin Vinny. If you go back and look at that movie and really pay attention to what is being said in that courtroom by that judge, and then by that prosecutor, and then by what's his name, the funny comedian, shoot, I can't think of his name. Short dude, real short. Dang,
Present day comedian?
yeah, not Danny DeVito, the other one.
Kevin Hart.
No, he's a white dude. He's like an Italian, but he's really Jewish.
Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci, yes.
Okay.
He plays an excellent defense attorney, but
Yeah, he
he is
does. Did he play
J-O-T.
in Rain? Did he play in Rain Man? One of them did. Where he was an
That was
ambulance
Tom
chaser.
Cruise. Tom Cruise.
No. It was one of them. I think it was Danny DeVito or Joe Pesci that played in Rain Man. He was an ambulance chaser. An ambulance chaser is a person who
Oh yeah,
finds
that go after cases when you get injured.
and he couldn't pass the bar.
Right. That's what Joe Pesci was playing in that movie, but he finally passed the bar after about 8 times. Oh man.
Yeah, that was
You
good. It
gotta
was funny.
see this movie. It is funny, but it is so informative. When I started looking at it for about the third or fourth time, right? Once I got past all the funny stuff, and I really started paying attention to what was going on, I said, I'll be darned. Look at
All right,
this.
so let's not move off. I'm gonna read this last paragraph and we're gonna stop right here because that's
Okay.
2.5 hours, and then we're gonna come back next Sunday. We got a date for next Sunday, same time, right, y'all?
Yep, same
All right.
time, 12,
Okay.
12 o'clock.
So Conglo, the 39th Congression, first session. Senator Trumbull emphasized in a debate that it was for Congress to determine and nobody else what sort of legislation might be appropriate to make the 13th Amendment effective. He later added, I have no doubt that under this provision, we may destroy all these discriminations and civil rights against the black man.
You're right.
And if we cannot, our constitutional amendment amounts to nothing.
Absolutely.
Mm.
It was for that purpose that the second clause of the amendment was adopted, which says that Congress shall have the authority, and it is for Congress to adopt such appropriate legislation as it may think proper, so that it means to accomplish the end. So
Do
we'll
we
come
think they
back.
accomplished it?
Yeah.
Did they think they accomplished it?
Yes.
No.
But the
No,
problem is,
not yet.
well, we're gonna come back and read it. But as of today, yes, because you as an individual, see, a lot of us never understood as Democrats, our people, and people, period. Doesn't matter. When you're wronged or discriminated by a state and you went to their supreme level, a lot of them don't understand that they really need to go to the federal court. This is why it's dangerous to get rid of federal district courts.
I would agree with that. That's why I've been
That's
mentioning
why I'm
for
saying
months
I'm not
and
trying to get
months.
rid of no goddamn central government. No, hell no. It'll be a war.
That's why I
Because then
mentioned for months.
the states will succeed in being able to continue their evil towards you.
Exactly. And that's why I've been stating for months. Do y'all understand that we are really the only people in the country who would have to be first to go through the federal court in order for everybody else to end up free in this land?
No, that's not true because
Oh, but it is.
no, it's not, because Mexicans don't know that once they're citizens. A lot of them don't know. They're discriminated and cheap
Sister
labor and
Bethy,
all
they
kinds
knew.
of shit.
Sister Bethy, they knew. And I'm going to tell you how I know they know.
No, they
There's a-
didn't.
There's
We'll
a-
come back
there
next
is a-
week. No,
Wait a
no,
minute.
no.
There is a
I'm
federal
not.
case.
I'm not.
I'm going to bring the case with me just to show you.
Yeah, get it.
There's
Bring
a-
it.
Okay.
Because a lot of
I'm
them
gonna do
don't.
that.
A lot of them literally don't know. When they first come here, they do not know.
No. I
They
ain't
don't
say
even understand English.
I didn't say them. I'm saying what they did when they went through federal court the first time. They went through
Who?
federal court. The Mexicans. They went through federal court to get their status changed to white. They did that from Mexican to
man.
white. I got the
Oh,
case.
well,
I thought the government.
all right, but that's
changed that.
fine, well and good. But there's a lot of Mexicans, and I'm not. I hate this racial card shit. There's a lot of Mexicans that stand on being Mexican. from
No, I'm
South
not
America.
saying they don't. I'm saying they used it for their
There's some
status.
that don't want to exercise their Mexican side. Yeah, I get that. But the same thing with blacks. You got black people who have more of their white features who want to exercise their European side. So the race stuff, that's not what this session is about.
No,
It's
I get
about
that. I'm just explaining that there are folks as a people, not all of them, but there are some other folks that are above them as far as that education is concerned. They took this to federal court and won.
awesome. And we got to teach our people that in order to effectively exercise your civil rights, which
You gotta go to
Democrats have
federal court.
kept you blind from, you must exercise your U.S. civil rights in federal court. A
Exactly.
lot of your states are not going to do you justice because a lot of the individual states never even wanted you in their colonial system unless you come in under a false identity. But
Exactly.
Will, I love y'all. I'm gonna get off of here. We got a date for next week, right, y'all?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
We're gonna knock it out the box, and it's gonna get deeper, copper, right?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna get deeper, and we're gonna keep touching on it so we can, effectively get a lot of our people who are stuck on democratic rhetoric and indoctrination to start thinking that maybe, all right, if you don't want to join the Republican Party, I understand, but it didn't take me to become an independent to become a Republican. It took me enough to go through the bullshit. But I say to people, whether I don't care what your race is, whether you're white, black, I don't care. You have been indoctrinated, even if you're white. I don't care what your race is. You need to be able to look at other people and judge them by individual. You can't make a whole party evil. You need, and this is why after we read this civil rights case and getting you to understand things you never understood, it's so that you could start saying, well, geez, so many generations have gone by and my family stayed being a Democrat. I got to go and look and see what kind of things this Republican individual is putting on the table. Is it something that I've probably wanted for years and I just didn't know it was on the table because I really never paid attention to the political system in this manner? So let me start reading what kind of laws that these individual Republicans have been trying to put on the table, and they've just been held back from it by Democrats tabling it and filibustering it to make sure it doesn't make it to the floor or to be debated on. You'd be surprised. A lot of their actions and policies that and laws that they've tried to pass are laws to try to help better you. You would never know because you never been a part of this part of legislation or the political process. You're stuck at the church level when doing politics, and that just means go vote for that Democratic guy, and you learn nothing, absolutely nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
So this will give you, by us teaching you this and giving you these lectures every week, it'll cause you to put on your independent pants. And perhaps maybe you say, you know what? I don't want to be a Democrat, right? I don't want to be a Republican. I'm going to be an independent and start beginning the process of thinking for myself and what I feel would be better for me and my family. What laws?
Mm-hmm.
So until then,
That
we're going
would
to come back
help
next
to-
week.
I think
Huh?
that would also help to break the generational, I won't
Gap.
say curses, but I'll say it'll help to help the next generation, our kids and grandkids, to open up their eyes and make better decisions for themselves for the future.
Yes. and our intelligent brothers that are on YouTube all night. It'll give them something better to think about. And also, if a state is so horrible to your people and you just don't find any justice in any of the states because the legislators that are in your state have been on the legislation for like 50 damn years and they're still there, it's not such a bad idea to create another state where you literally have legislators that work with you. And people will probably move in that state or in that state that you create because you're tired of the same legislators and congressmen that been sitting in those same seats since the 70s. Seriously, that been in the same political seats since the 70s and they never left. They keep getting voted in. So I think the best thing to do is creating a 53rd state, or it might be a 54th state, because you get that tired of these people. And there's nothing wrong with that. You go back.
Now, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, you go back and look at what's the mission process. And it tells you, in order to be admitted into the union, it still stands today. So creating a whole nother state so that you can be assigned how many
legislators,
right, from your, that's not such a bad idea.
Yeah,
if they want
Congress,
fine, create another state. You're still in the system. You still have the same army. Let it be a 53rd state. You have another army, another navy, another air force.
Yeah, because you're still federal.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got your own level of it, but you're still within the federal government.
Right, and you don't have to keep worrying about these lying ass same congressmen, same congresswomen, same local. You have your own local mayor because you're probably sick of the one. Start another state. That's what I would recommend. I don't recommend another whole government to fight against the United States. That's crazy as hell.
That is crazy. I don't even
want to deal with people thinking on that level. So you make it more powerful when you create another state. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sister Bethany is going to be the
governor.
And Copper Original is going to be the mayor.
No, I'd rather just teach. I don't even want a powerful position. I'm keeping it a buck. I'd rather just be the Indian chief I am. But I think I'm talking about, I only speak about making civil decisions that's not going to harm you. I'm not trying to go up against no United States. I love my country. But it's such that the systems and the judicial system has failed our people so bad that you really need to create another state so that you don't have to deal with them anymore.
But that's exactly what the 1964 Civil Rights Act is. That's what it says in the Indian Civil Rights Act. But we were kept away from that. It didn't say anything about leaving the federal government. It gave us the right as the Indians to create our own state. And these people
create your own state. It's still part of the United States. It's just the 53rd state. And we have our own damn senators and representatives. And you know what? You'd be surprised.
Like this,
right. You'd be surprised who want to move in your state. We don't have to let illegal immigrants move in our state.
No,
you do not have to. No. That way we ain't got to deal with it. You just get your own state. That's a great idea. And the person speaking about that, I thought was Dane, but Dane said government. I don't know. I got to go read and look. But
so get your land,
I think that
and do it.
Yeah,
man.
You
get your own state. You get your own state and stay in the guidelines of the United States federal government, and you use that same constitution, and you make your own constitution off the United States Constitution, so you stay within the lines of the confines of the laws of the United States.
And I'm gonna tell you what, right, and we know all the mistakes they've made. So let us not pass laws that's in conflict with the U.S. Constitution.
That's correct.
I know someone who's doing that right now.
What?
Good look.
They
I'm not
started-
talking about create a state and become a cult, because these other people, they want you. You also got to be careful who you creating a state with, because a lot of
When
these
you can create
people
the state,
are
you got to
too
go to the
stuck.
federal
They're
government in
too
order to
stuck
do
in their
this.
right. A lot of these people, you got to worry about who you creating a state with, because a lot of these people are stuck in their religion, and I'm not going to creating no state
Me
just to
neither.
join somebody's damn cult like these
Nope.
Hebrew Israelites. Get your ass
Oh,
out of here. Our state will be for people who want to make a difference, and it will be open to other citizens, not illegal immigrants. Like you might find a Asian person that want to come and be a citizen in your particular state. It'll
Nothing
be
wrong with
people
that.
who just right, nothing wrong with it. You just sick of the same system. So what you do, you start one from scratch and keep it moving. But that's later on down the line in our lecturing. But I'm gonna get out of here because I love you guys to the moon.
Alrighty.
Back.
right, y'all.
We gonna be back, and we love y'all. Bye bye.
Y'all later.
Peace to everybody in the chat that's still there.
For yourself.